Hello everyone, just Gordon here and welcome back to another Planet Zoo Real Life Inspiration video. Today we're looking at the Sable Antelope, and because someone suggested it, I thought why not? Let's also look at the Roan Antelope. I figured it'd be good to do another antelope because we haven't done one in a while, and I don't want to get to a point where the last 10 videos of the Real Life Inspiration series is just going to be antelopes and the same 10 savanna habitats over and over again. So that's why we are looking at the Sable Antelope today. They're probably one of my favorite antelopes, and of course they are also at the Beekse Bergen. And over here we are going back in time a little bit because you used to be able to see them already from this kind of elevated position, but nowadays that has been kind of closed off, and you can still see it is a staff path now. But yeah, you used to have a lot more views of this big savanna habitat over here, but now this is the first view you see as you're coming counterclockwise around the zoo. And yeah, you get a really cool view into the enclosure over here, and you can see the tree huts and the resort kind of buildings in the background, where you can actually book one of those homes and stay at the resort for a couple of days, and you have a beautiful view of this savanna from those houses, which is of course really awesome. But yeah, this habitat is absolutely huge, and there's a very long path all the way beside it, separating you from the habitat via this big moat, this big lake, and you can see there is also some fences down there, just to make sure that no animals, I guess, swim out either. Over here we can see the male, and the male sable antelope is always a lot darker in color. And that male over there has a beautiful name. His name is Parc. Really awesome name. I love the fact that I know all these things. The zoo has a couple videos on the Sable Antelope, one of which also shows the backstage really well. I'll try to remember to link that one in the description because it is really cool to see that as well. They show also what we can see over here. As we zoom in a little bit, you can see that small staircase in the back there. That is actually kind of where the keepers can access the point where the animals go inside of this building over here. But I've never been inside there. I've only seen it from here. So yeah, I'll link that in the description. But this is also a walkthrough, or a drive-through, I should say. Not a walkthrough, a drive-through enclosure. You can take your own car in here and from this road get relatively close to the animals. The sables tend to be a bit off the road, so that's why over here taking the game drive, yeah, we all know that I've done this at some point. Yeah, you can get really close to the sable antelopes from the game drive because the person can just drive right up them, and they said that they tend to try to keep some distance from them because they can be pretty aggressive, but on this particular day she noticed no signs of aggression from them, so we actually just pulled right up to them, and even though they had young, which you can see over there, which is absolutely adorable. Yeah, so cool. But yeah, that was Beekse Bergen. Next up we have Zoo Berlin, where we have a much simpler, much more modest enclosure over here, a kind of an older hoofstock yard with a simple, not a U mode, it is more of a V mode, which is a good thing. But yeah, look at that beautiful antelope over there in the distance. Very simple backstage as well, with the wooden building right there. But yeah, not a horrible enclosure. A little bit on the small side, but there's not a large group in here either. So yeah, just a decent enclosure right here from Berlin. And from Berlin we go to the next thing with a B, which is of course Parc animalier de Bouillon. And we're starting off over here with the backstage. Look at that. That sure is a backstage. I'm so glad we got to see that. Thank you so much, Bouillon. And then as for the enclosure, yeah, we can see it over here. No, it's nice. It's pretty spacious, nice forested enclosure, but there's not a lot here in terms of design or anything like that. It's just they put a fence on the slope and you're looking down the slope, which it's not great, but not horrible either. Anyway, next up we are in Serengetipark Hodenhagen, which is the best description is German Beekse Bergen, but honestly that's kind of insulting to the Beekse Bergen because Beekse Bergen is a lot better in many ways. But the first enclosure we drive into has the sable antelope. We could just see them over there, but this enclosure is much bigger. It's an absolutely ginormous savanna field over here. Definitely, I guess they do one up the Beekse Bergen slightly in terms of space because this place is absolutely huge. But it's such an empty, like, it's just one flat grassy field over here, right? We've got this random baobab tree over there, which is interesting, but yeah, many different species here. It is a really cool mixed enclosure, and you can also see it from that bridge that we could see from the car. Yeah, walking alongside that bridge, you get a nice overview of the enclosure. We can see the stalls all the way in the back, and yeah, we can see that same baobab tree over here. There's this little outpost outcropping. Really nice views, really take it all in. On the second day, I wanted to do a second lap of the car safari, but I was walking here and I saw this and I decided against it. But that's not all we got to see at Serengetipark, because there is another viewpoint. Over here is the Serengeti Aussicht, or the Serengeti view, I guess is the best way to translate that. Yeah, and I'm taking some footage from the night before, when I actually arrived here to stay the night. We'll get into that when I get to making a video about Serengetipark. But yeah, that's just because this view was absolutely stunning over here with the sun setting in the back. We walk across this rope bridge, which goes on for quite a bit, and eventually leads us over here to this outpost, the Serengeti Aussicht. And yeah, this is the view. I mean, just isn't that absolutely stunning, with the sun setting over there, with the water and the lemur island in the middle. This was gorgeous, and it started to rain while I was here, but I didn't care. I was absolutely just having the best time and taking in this view. It was so great. Anyway, there's one more thing here before we leave Serengetipark, and that is this ride over here. This is the Jungle Safari Tour. And it's not like a bus ride, because there is also a bus ride in this zoo, but it's like an extra charge, so I didn't do that. I just did the car safari. But this is more like a thrill ride, and it does take you through the enclosure that we were just in a little bit. We're kind of going off the road, kind of similar to the game drive, but not really. It's bigger. There's a tour guide that's like telling a story. We did get some more cool views of the sables over here, however. But yeah, the ride kind of takes you through one or two of the enclosures and then goes past a bunch of animatronics, which was quite something. I can't wait to show you guys more of that. But yeah, that was it for Serengetipark for the sables. We'll be back for the Roan Antelope when we get to that. But first of all, one more sable enclosure over here from Zoom Erlebniswelt. We've seen this savanna before in the Springbok video. First of all, there's this awesome predator-prey view crossing the lions and the hyenas, looking into the savanna beyond. And then there is just a whole bunch of viewpoints into this giant savanna enclosure over here that has zebra, giraffe, I think ostrich, and springbok, tons of stuff. Really awesome. So in the Springbok video, I went through it a little bit more at a leisurely pace, I guess you could say, because there wasn't that many habitats to go through in that video. So if you want to see more of this, just check out the Springbok video. But yeah, here I'm just kind of picking together some of the viewpoints. You can see the sables over there, really awesome. But I do want to mention, and you'll see it in the Springbok video a little bit, is that there's a lot of gaps between these viewing points. Like, it's not just, you're not just looking at the savanna. In between, there's like a meerkat habitat, a porcupine habitat. Just, you're constantly being presented with new things and then getting back to the savanna. And yeah, eventually you also can take a boat ride, which also goes past this enclosure, and you just get these amazing views over here. Absolutely love this habitat, absolutely love this park, the Zoom Erlebniswelt. And yeah, that brings us to the final enclosure for the Sable Antelope, which is over here at Monde Sauvage, the Belgian Beekse, if we're being even more insulted to the Beekse, because yeah, Monde Sauvage is even, yeah, it's not bad, it's just not, it's not Beekse. But yeah, we can see over here in the middle of the giraffe enclosure, we have a bunch of Sable Antelope that I do believe should also be able to get to the main savanna enclosure. I think they can just cross something. I'm not sure if they're being held separately here, because this is kind of like a separation yard, I do think. I'm not sure if the giraffes ever go onto the car safari. Not sure exactly how they've got all of that divided up. But yeah, over here we can see some stalls. And then over here we can see the main savanna enclosure. We've seen it in a couple of videos already, and we'll definitely see it in more, because yeah, this zoo really just thought, we'll just make one giant enclosure and just put everything on there, and have cars going through it, and that'll be our safari experience. So yeah, as we take our car onto this field, yeah, you can see some views of it. It's just a very big field, couple of trees, some more densely forested parts, some more open parts, some very open parts. There's a hippo pool kind of like in the middle of it all. But yeah, over here we are driving past some Roan antelopes, which I also wanted to feature in this video. They're pretty closely related to the Sable antelopes. So I thought that was a great suggestion by Carlos Godoy Sanchez Zelferos 9074. That's their full username. My god, what a mouthful. I definitely messed that up somewhere, but I don't think that's on me. Anyway, yeah, big enclosure, right? We've seen this one a couple of times already, and I really don't have much to say about it anymore. So we'll just keep driving a little bit, see all the different antelopes and fun animals, and yeah, eventually you will reach the end of it, as it gets to like this part where it is. You're actually very close to the fence and the edge of the zoo, and you eventually loop back around. So whatever. Next up, Bergen Zoo. Bergen Zoo doesn't actually have Roan antelopes anymore. By the way, we're completely switching to the Roan antelopes now, no more sables. But yeah, I just really wanted to include this one because this was actually the first zoo I saw the Roan antelope at, and I thought that was really cool and special. And also, it's just a beautiful savanna enclosure, so it never tires me to show this one to people. First, we have that lower down point where we just were, and then you go to these elevated locations over here, some of which are also sheltered like this, and you get some really great views of the entire savanna, because yeah, it has multiple sections to it. I mean, it's one big field. It's not like they can be sectioned off, but you've got this part with the open field. There's some like a tree line in the middle, and then another part over here. This is where I first saw Roan antelope in my life, right over here. There they are, just chilling. So yeah, really cool. Coolest part about the savanna of Bergen is this part. We are now on top of these stalls of all the different animals here, and we've got all of these beautiful rocks, and this section in particular, this with all the foliage, it looks so freaking good. I do feel like they could have put something up here like a meerkat habitat or something. That would have been really cool. But yeah, as we're making our way between all of these rocks, we get to this big terrace which just has a beautiful panorama view of the savanna in the background. Yeah, really cool. Never gets old, and definitely the best place to have your lunch here if you don't want to sit in the restaurant. So yeah, really awesome. Always love to see it. And we also do have the stalls. Why not? Let's just get a quick look at them. So yeah, these are the stalls for many of the different antelopes and things that this zoo has. I'm guessing they were also used for the Roan antelope back in the day when they still had them. I'm not sure what happened to them. I'm not sure why they don't have them anymore, but they're gone now, which is a damn shame. But yeah, that was Bergen Zoo. Let's move on to the next zoo, which is going to be the Zoo of Dortmund. And in the Zoo of Dortmund, the Roan antelopes are on this savanna enclosure together with zebra and I think common eland, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a decent enclosure. Like, it's pretty spacious. It definitely has the feeling that these used to be like some hoofstock rows, and they really opened up all the enclosures together to create this larger space. And it's not great. We do have the Roan antelope over there on a sign about the African continent, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this enclosure has it's just completely fenced all the way around. There's no like open views into it really, so you don't get very great views of the animals here. And we do have the Roan antelope over there being really cool. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of this enclosure. What I am a fan of is this amazing playground. Look at that lion. This has nothing to do with Roan antelopes, but I just had to include this because I don't know whenever I'm otherwise going to include that bit of footage. Also, this has nothing to do with the savanna, but this is an inspiration video, and I thought this was pretty inspiring. There's like a beehive over there, and the tree over here is fenced off to kind of keep people away from that beehive and probably prevent them from being stung. So I thought it was pretty inspirational, so I thought, why not just include it here. But yeah, the enclosure can be separated in different parts. You can see the gate over there. There's also gates on the other side. Over here you can see there's a gate that leads kind of into the backstage. And yeah, this is the other half of the enclosure then. So yeah, you can go all the way around this one. Many different views. And over here we can get a small view of the kind of gate mechanisms over here. There's a lot of stuff going on in there to allow the animals either to go through or allow employees to get to the backstage. It's in the middle there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Zoo of Dortmund over here. I feel like I need to apologize because we are about to absolutely overshadow this one, because next up we're looking at the Zoo of Hannover, and you know how I feel about Hannover if you've seen my zoo tour snippets video on this zoo. I absolutely love it. And yeah, this boat over here is slowly going towards the Roan Antelope enclosure. So let's take a brief look from what that looks like from the boat. It's funny how there's two enclosures in this video that has a boat right next to the savannah like that. But yeah, just an absolutely gorgeous enclosure over here. All the rock work around and the foliage. Oh, it looks so freaking fantastic. And yeah, of course the walking route also goes past the top over here. You're looking over across that moat, across the boats. And there's also this little hut over here from which we have another elevated view, very much focused on the giraffes. Honestly, I feel like this is a giraffe enclosure first and foremost, and they just have these other antelopes on here to kind of fill out the space a bit more. Anyway, after you come through the entirety of Afi Mountain, we got to this viewing point where we can look across the moat, more of a level view over here, so you do get to appreciate all the other animals a bit more as well. And then you get to the lion enclosure where we have a predator-prey view of the lions and the giraffe, and of course also the Roan Antelope in the back. So it's kind of funny how both the Erlebnis Zoo and Zoom Erlebniswelt have both a predator-prey view and a boat. Suspicious. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, Rostock Zoo over here has a pretty nice large enclosure as well, with a bunch of savanna animals, including the Roan Antelope. We can see trees are protected by some planks or rocks or things, and yeah, just a simple wall over there, kind of a V mode, but with a very gradual slope. I think it looks pretty cool. There's a nice classical building in the middle over there. I think this is in the kind of older part of the zoo, more classical part of the zoo. And we can also see some guinea fowl walking around. Yeah, there's lots of stuff, but I didn't get much footage apparently, because that's all I had. And then we are back at Serengetipark Hodenhagen for the last zoo over here. We are walking into kind of the bungalow section over here of the park. And again, I want to quickly cut back to that golden hour because wow, it looks so freaking good when the sun is setting. That's the real beauty here, because these, I think these are the safari lodges. Definitely the best lodges in the zoo that you can rent, because they put you adjacent to this enclosure, which was one of the only enclosures where even in the evening I saw animals outside. Like all the monkeys had gone inside already. I myself booked a different lodge which was cheaper, but this is definitely the best one, probably worth the investment if you do intend on staying here with a larger group and want to enjoy the animals and stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool enclosure. As we keep walking, we can see a bit more of the backstage over here, and as we keep going, you eventually will get to the bigger savannah with the car safari and stuff. But yeah, that was it for the Sable Antelope inspiration video. Hope you got some Sable Antelope inspiration. I'll see you next week for Badger? Probably? I think Badger. See you then. Bye bye.